know the names of every one of your offspring that will
Big
come.
God. Oh man, is that a cool thought? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
powerful. Oh my gosh.
that's each of those names written on his hand, as Crystal would quote in Isaiah 44, into names, into every flicker of light, which he calls humans, every one of us fearfully and wonderfully made,
Yeah.
and part of his massive plan. Yeah, so awesome and yet so commonplace at the same time.
Yeah.
And
So simple.
you probably saw some legit stars when you lived in Kremling.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, in the camp, we were able to take care of this camp up in the middle of the wilderness, and yeah, it was, in fact, the highlight of every week with our kids was we had a meadow a quarter of a mile out in the edge of our camp that was, totally away from any human light. And that was the highlight of every week, is we grabbed blankets and everybody went out in the middle and laid down on our backs, and we worshiped and looked at the stars, and oftentimes read these passages. So it is and continues to be.
It's funny how the advent of civilization has removed the magnitude of this vision of the stars, because we barely see anything.
That's right.
I very, very rarely see the stars. I think I was in Africa the last time I really saw the stars. It just happened to be out at night. And of course, you're already thinking the world's a much different place than I was thinking it was. And then you look up and you're just like, I can see the Milky Way. I can see this cloudy thing. And it's almost like the ocean or the mountains. You lose it catches your breath almost every time. But we've had the stars stolen from us because most of us live in cities where we don't see them. What's this phrase in verse 6? Abraham believed God, and it was and he credited it to him as righteousness. And I will say that Tom Wright, in his New Kingdom translation of the New Testament, when he interprets Paul quoting this passage, he says the NIV is a horrible translation because of that verbiage.
It is this early portrayal and picture of God's heart of grace, that it was Abraham, and Paul does a great job with this in Romans, obviously, but that it wasn't his obedience, it wasn't his acts, it wasn't the fact that he passed the test with Isaac on the mountain. It was the fact that he believed, that he trusted, that he had a relationship with God, and so that's what was credited to him for the ability to have a relationship with the Father.
As I understand it, the language that Paul's quoting in the Greek language that Paul's using, dikasune, is actually more about covenant membership. It's an expression of the faith that seems sort of sterile and clinical, as opposed to like the word family covenant is a whole lot different than credit righteousness. And I just wonder what we've lost and how it can still be meaningful, even if that's a better way of looking at it.
Yeah, because somewhere we hooked the word performance to righteousness.
Abraham, on the very big matters, did his part. He left his homeland. He got circumcised. He circumcised his kids. But on the day-to-day levels, he didn't perform particularly admirably.
That's right. Yeah. And yet God never brings all that up. I mean, at this point, it is this man trusts me.
Yeah, we're family.
This man grabbed the covenant again and rested in it. And so now we continue to have covenant relationship, not based on whether he has or has not. Again, it goes all the way back to where we started with I will. This unilateral covenant, and Abraham's obedience, all it does is keep him in a position for that covenant to work. And
his temporary lapses of obedience seem to short circuit it in the short term, but absolutely do not affect it in the long term.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like the passage in Hebrews that talks about how he saw a future country, and that's what kept him going.
Has God planted me here to bring the kingdom, which I believe he has, or has he put me here right now to just hope he comes back soon? And so he's really challenged me, and I've been challenging others who we just throw that phrase out. Well, man, it'd be great if Jesus came back today.
Mhm.
If that's not why we're here.
Mhm.
That's not why Abraham was there.
Yeah, maybe instead it'd be great if we shined a little brighter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, or what if now uh, is an incredible time
Mhm.
to trust and believe like Abraham did, and like you said, shine, exhibit
Mhm.
the kingdom. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that the people around Abraham, Abimelech, and even Abimelech at one time, and I could get it, says, it's obvious this God of yours is with you, is blessing you. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no other explanation for you, Abraham.
Yeah.
And so let's have a treaty. I mean,
Yeah.
which back then probably it would have been, no, I want to take you over. I want
Mhm.
what you have. And yet for this pagan king was,
Mhm.
yeah, you don't mess with Abraham. He's got a big God backing
Mhm.
him up. So let's have a treaty. Let's,
Yeah.
um,
Let me in on some of this kind of a thing,
yeah,
as opposed to let me destroy you. And that's a great example of the blessing of Abraham extending out. And I love it as he has to deal with bickering with Lot. He has to deal with bickering between his herdsmen and Abimelech's herdsmen.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's
Who,
digging
dug-
wells and filling
who
them
dug
up.
the
And
well? Yeah, yeah.
life is still hard, but they persevere and they make peace. And that's what we have to do today as well.
Amen. Yeah, yeah.